Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be taking you out to a beautiful, magical place in Colorado, southern Colorado. Where are we taking them to, babe?
We're going to go to Pagosa Springs, Colorado, actually.
Yeah, it's a nice little hidden gem in Colorado. So stay tuned to learn everything you need to know why you want to take your RV to Pagosa Springs.
So buckle up, folks, because here we go.
This is RV Destinations Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. I am Randy Beheimer. I'm here with my beautiful, wonderful wife, Caly. Say hi to everybody, baby.
Hi, everybody, baby.
We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're listening to our audio podcast on the audio platforms, wherever you may be listening to, or YouTube. Again, we love our YouTube people. Not that we don't love our audio ones, but the YouTube, we can get a lot more interactive and give you some B-roll and all kinds of other things, make it a little bit more interactive. But today, we're going to be talking about a beautiful little place in the heart of the San Juan Mountains, Pagosa Springs, Colorado.
Yeah.
So, and we've got somebody from the Tourism Bureau here on the show with us. You want to introduce her?
Yeah, so on the line with us, we have Jennie Green, and she is the Executive Director of Tourism for Pagosa Springs. So pretty much the expert there. So hi, Jennie, how are you doing today?
Well, hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We are so glad that you are here and joining with us today and, to tell us all about what there is to see and do in Pagosa Springs. I'm guessing a lot of people might already know that Pagosa Springs is famous for its hot springs, but there's more to do and see there other than just the hot springs.
I feel like we were talking about this a little bit off air, but I feel like Pagosa Springs is kind of a hidden gem because, anytime I talk about Pagosa Springs to anybody outside of Colorado, most of them have never heard of it. They're like, "Where is that?" Well, it's east of Durango and such, but we've been there two times, and we just really enjoy the place.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place. We love southern Colorado altogether, all the way from Durango all the way over to Pagosa. So, but maybe start off telling us a little bit about the area, if you don't mind. Maybe give us a 30,000-foot view and some of the cool things that you have going on there in Pagosa.
Absolutely. So we're known for our hot springs, as you mentioned, and actually have the world's deepest hot springs aquifer, as measured by Guinness, quite a few years ago now. About 15 years ago, I think they came out and measured. And we're surrounded by 2.5 million acres of wilderness and national forests. So there's no shortage of outdoor activities year round. In the winter, we should be snow covered. So there's, we're at the base of Wolf Creek Pass and very close to Wolf Creek ski area, which is known for the most snow in Colorado, knock on wood. It doesn't always work out that way, but they do get favored by Mother Nature quite a bit. So they're, in the winter, it's, snowboarding, skiing, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, dog sledding. The one thing that we do year-round is hot air balloon rides, which is unique for a mountain destination. And in the spring, summer, fall, we're basically outside enjoying the trails, horseback riding, mountain biking, hiking. Of course, hot springs are great year-round as well. So there's just no shortage of fun outdoor activities.
Yeah, it's definitely an outdoor lover's destination. And,
For sure.
And that's why that was the appeal for Randy and I. One, I love hot springs. And two, we love to get out into nature and hike and just mostly hike. And so it was a great combination for us because we did some pretty intense hikes and then could come back and really enjoy the hot springs. So it was nice. It was a nice combination.
Yeah. We really enjoyed the hiking there up in the San Juan Mountains. We did that the first time. We've been there twice, and the first time was perfect weather. We got a lot of hiking in. The second time it was raining most of the time we were there, but we did get a hike up to a fall, and I can't remember the name of the fall. You probably would know it. It's one of the more famous ones, I believe. But
I'm going to go with Treasure Falls.
I think that was it, actually. Yeah,
that sounds right.
Okay.
Beautiful drive to even get to the trailhead. So just very, very, very beautiful place.
Well, there's about 650 miles of hiking trails in the area. So
wow, so you can stay busy for a while.
You can. I'm not sure you can hike all of it in a lifetime.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole lot of hiking. Yes, but that's fabulous, and that's what we really enjoyed about the area because it is this little treasure trove of a town tucked in the middle of Colorado wilderness, and that's, I think, what makes it so unique.
Why don't we touched on the springs, since the springs have kind of what draws a lot of people there, I believe. Why don't we share some stories behind the famous hot springs and what makes them unique? And I got to be honest with you, it's been several years since we've been to Pagosa, and I'm getting my memories mixed up with Durango because there's some hot springs in Durango as well, but they're completely different springs, is what I've been told.
Yes.
I feel like yours is more natural. Is that right? That yours is just pretty much how they come out of the earth. Is that right?
Well, so the water comes out of the ground at 144 degrees. So we have 3 commercial hot springs properties, and each have different ways of cooling the water, because you can't soak at 144 degrees.
Sure.
You would
Right.
literally melt. So the largest of the 3 properties is the Springs Resort, and they've actually just recently completed an expansion project. So you guys are due a visit back,
We are,
because they've added an additional 25 pools that sit along the San Juan River, right downtown. We have another property right across Hot Springs Boulevard, aptly named, from the Springs, is Healing Waters. They have a large swimming pool, so usually runs 104, 105, but they do a lot of locals like that one because it's a little bit quieter and you can swim. And then the Overlook Hot Springs is across the highway and across the river from the other 2 properties, and it's in the downtown historic district, and it's in basically one of the historic buildings, and they have rooftop tubs which provide nice views of the San Juan Mountains and the Continental Divide. Then they also have some additional tubs. They have some indoor ones and then some additional ones back behind the building where the temperature is regulated more like a hot tub. So you can kind of go up and down on your own. Now, during the pandemic, we originally, it was called the Hippie Dip. There's some free pools in the river right downtown, and it's basically excess unused water from the commercial properties that go into the river. When during the pandemic, more of those pools got built up. And so right across the river from the visitor center now you'll see steam coming out of the rocks, and there's basically little hot pools in there. And with the exception of the spring runoff, when the river rises from snowmelt, that gets a little chilly in those, but most of the time we hear from visitors that the free spots are very warm and nice as well.
Yeah, we enjoyed both when we were there. The first time we did Healing Waters, because back then Healing Waters still had, I think, 5 RV sites, and we happened to snag one, which was fantastic. So we stayed there on the property and really got to enjoy that. And then the last time we were there, we got, I think it was a 2-day pass to the Springs Resort and Spa. And so one day we spent just going through all the different pools and hot springs that they have there. And it is really, I see why you did the robe parade there in town, because everybody does walk around in their robes. It was fantastic. We spent a whole day in our robes going from, hot spring to hot spring to hot spring in different pools. And then the next day we came back and had massages, and that was absolutely incredible. Now I'm talking about it. I think we need to go back.
Okay, so my memory is right. See, I was getting the one in Durango confused. It was the one that we got the massages in that was in Pagosa.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
it's all coming back to me now.
And it was spring, so it was still relatively chilly. Things had just kind of started opening up for the spring, so it was honestly for us a perfect time to be there because it was cool, it was chilly, and then you could get in these hot springs, and I just felt so good.
And the San Juan was raging.
It was.
I remember
raging.
that. I mean, there was the first time we came, I believe, was in the summertime, and you couldn't see a sliver of the San Juan River without seeing an inner tube in it. So I know that's a big. I know that. Maybe let's talk about that. Maybe let's shift into that, because the San Juan River runs right through Pagosa Springs. And so one of the most popular things there, one of the more popular things, I should say, the hot springs are obviously very popular, but you rent a tube and then you float down. We haven't done that. We've seen it, but maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically we're at the headwaters of the San Juan River. It's at the top of Wolf Creek Pass, because Wolf Creek Pass is the Continental Divide. So the San Juan River flows right through downtown. We have about a 2-mile stretch through town that is been designed for floating and actually to protect fish habitat as well. During the summer months, you see a lot of bathing suits in town between the river and the hot springs. The tubing has been extremely popular. Now, the water levels are a tricky one, because we basically raft in the late spring when the snowmelt is at the peak. And rafting is generally above 400 cubic feet per second. Tubing starts typically below 400 cubic feet per second. Now, that's still pretty rowdy in a tube. You're going to see people being flipped over in the waves, things like that. They are right now, the water levels are pretty low. We had a pretty dry winter last year. So people are more just sitting in tubes at this point instead of moving down the river. But really the sweet spot on the cubic feet is going to be around 200 to 300 cubic feet per second. Now we have a couple of different businesses that rent tubes and run shuttles. And the town is actually next year adding 2 new access points for tubers to get into the water. So with parking, which will be a nice addition. And the challenge we have with the tubing is, unfortunately, Walmart sells really cheap, flimsy tubes year round. So our visitors don't necessarily know that those are not the best tubes and certainly not in big water.
Right.
So that's one thing we try to do at the visitor center, because we can see everything happening on the river in front of us, and we have a really big wave. So we see a lot of wipeouts from the visitor center, but we're just trying to educate people to make sure they're doing it safely. We also get questions that, they think that it's going to just loop back around. They think it's a lazy river like Disney World. So want to make sure that people are paying attention to you should take out here.
Right.
Otherwise, it's an extra 13 miles downriver before they have another chance to get out.
And I don't recall you had Uber in there in town.
Yep, no, Uber's not. We do have DoorDash now. That's new, but we haven't gotten Uber yet.
That is fantastic, and I love the whole. Oh yeah, this yes, a natural river just looping right back around.
Yep.
That's fine. So maybe let's talk about some of the different seasons that you have there. Obviously, the hot springs are open year round. I personally like to get into hot springs in cooler weather, which I would think most of America does. But my wife will get them them in the summer. 90-degree heat. I just don't see the appeal there.
Oh, it's awesome.
So I would assume June, July, August is your busy season, or do you get a nice crowd in, let's say, March, April?
March is really busy because of spring break. So we get a lot of the Texas, Oklahoma Front Range spring breakers because the ski area is still open. But in town, we're probably in the 60s at that time. So you can definitely go hiking but also go skiing and, do hot springs. You're right on the busier months. I'd actually include September into that, just because weather in Colorado is fabulous in September. And that's also, the end of the month is when we see our peak fall foliage. Generally, late September, early October is when we see the aspens change. So yeah, June through September is pretty busy. We have a lot of events during those months as well, which also bring in crowds. Now, our winter season, Wolf Creek is known for the snow, so they've kind of trained their audience to pay attention to snow totals. And so we'll see the New Mexico crowd come up based on, they got a big snow, we're going to go there for the weekend. But generally in the winter, it's the holiday weekends that are pretty busy. So Christmas is pretty close to the number of visitors we see over 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
And do they keep, I remember Wolf Pass being a pretty serious pass. Do they keep that plowed all year round?
CDOT does a good job. CDOT is the Colorado Department of Transportation. They do a good job. There is a risk of avalanche, so they will do avalanche mitigation. The only time that we really see the highway close for snow removal is after 4 or 5 feet of snow that comes down in a very short time frame. So it makes sense. But they usually do the avalanche mitigation very early in the morning before the ski area opens. So they generally have the highway reopened by 8 o'clock when that it's ready time to ski.
Gotcha. Yeah. Most RVers chase the sunshine, but there are a few that are crazy that like to go north and into the snow. Do you know if any of your RV parks are open during the winter? I'm not even sure, actually.
We do have one open just west of town.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
year round. Yep.
So that is an option if somebody wants to come
Yep.
out there. Okay.
Very nice.
You want to take one?
Yeah. So, what about local culture? Like throughout the year, do you offer different festivals or markets or different cultural events? Cultural events that are a good draw for the city and something that an RVer would be interested in attending.
Well, one thing that we haven't touched on is Chimney Rock National Monument.
Okay.
And if you guys haven't been there, next time you visit, please stop by. That was designated a national monument under the Obama administration. And before that, it had been a architectural site, archaeological site, sorry. So that was used, if you're familiar with Chaco Canyon and Mesa Verde National Park, it was one of the outlier sites to Chaco Canyon, and it was considered a sacred site. And right now what is occurring is is known as lunar standstill. It occurs every 18 and a half years, and it's currently happening now. And there's two pillars of Chimney Rock, and basically the lunar standstill is when the moon rises between those two pillars.
Oh,
And
wow.
so the ancestral Pueblans had a much better understanding of the night sky and really the sky in general. And so they would do smoke signals connecting all the different sites at that time to let them know when it was a sacred time to gather at Chimney Rock. And so they would have a lot of ceremonies. So Chimney Rock, back to your question, every Memorial Day weekend, actually this year I think they did the first weekend of June, but it's Life of Chimney Rock. And so they bring in I think there's 16 different tribes that have a connection to Chimney Rock. And so they bring elders in, and they do dances and just really celebrate the history of Chimney Rock and the cultural significance of that site. So that's one aspect. Now, you asked about
Mhm.
markets. During the summer, we have a farmers market,
Nice.
and this year we've seen a lot of new pop-up markets start up. So basically, businesses that have large parking lots, they're bringing vendors in, and so there's usually different markets available most days of the week at this point during the summer.
Oh, that's fabulous.
We have events, really throughout the year. The summer is the more predictable time to have events
Mhm.
because weather is generally more favorable and it's warmer. Those winter events can be a little more challenging, but
Yes.
we do have what we call old-fashioned Christmas celebration. It's the third Saturday of December. So this year will be on December 20th. And that's basically I'm not going to use the word parade, but we have booths, decorated booths set up along the Riverwalk Trail. So you saw the paved pathway right across from the hot springs.
Yes.
That's the Riverwalk. And so we have different nonprofits set up and decorate their booths. And we just invite the public out to have an abundance of sugar. It's hot chocolate and cookies. We've joked that we give people diabetes for Christmas.
Right.
But every year we have Santa arrive in a different way. Last year he was brought in by a team of dog sled team.
Oh, cool.
He's been brought by a fire truck. We are toying with the idea of possibly having Santa arrive by hot air balloon this year.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So we'll see how that goes. Mother Nature has to be very calm that day if that's the case. No moisture allowed in the air anyway.
Yep.
Now that back to saying that winter events are a little bit challenging. Old-fashioned Christmas, Mother Nature has made it extremely cold. 3 out of the 4 years that we've had it. One year we were definitely sub-zero. So we've had to, modify the event a little bit so that we're not making the dads who are trying to do the scavenger hunt freeze while the family's in the nice warm car because they needed that ornament before they could leave. But yeah, so we have lots of different events. Actually, one that, since we've been talking about hot air balloons, we do have 2 different mass balloon ascension events. One is during Winterfest, which is held in January. There's also a ski touring event that is the same weekend as Winterfest. But the big hot air balloon event is Colorfest weekend, and that is the 3rd weekend of September.
Oh, okay.
So beer festival, balloon glows. Again, 2 days of hot air balloon ascensions. It's not Albuquerque, so we don't have hundreds of balloons, but we generally have about 30 to 40, which make for some very nice photos.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
We did. We talked about this a little bit off air, but Caly and I did do the balloon ride, and it was amazing. Do we remember who it was through?
Pagosa Views, and Austin is the owner and the pilot over there.
Yep.
Austin took care of us.
Austin is, he's actually one of my board members now.
Oh, fabulous.
Nice.
Tell him we said hi.
Yes, I will tell him you guys said hi.
Yeah, we're going to be running. We gathered content to do an article on Pagosa Springs, and it's unfortunately got pushed like 2 or 3 times, and it is on the schedule to run it. And we were going to talk a lot about the balloon ride in Austin, and they were wonderful, and they took us up, and we had a great time. It was incredible. I mean,
it was magical.
San Juan Mountains that early in the morning was just beautiful. So. Well, tell us something that tell us about like a hidden gem locally that maybe even the locals don't miss or miss that do miss. Something that you shouldn't overlook when you come to Pagosa Springs.
Yeah, I may have ruined my answer because Chimney Rock was probably my original answer to that.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
No, there's you guys went to Treasure Falls. We have there's a couple other waterfalls in the area that you have to be a little braver to get out there. So 4 Mile Falls is a great hike. Now it's about 6 miles round trip, so about 3 miles out to the waterfall. But you start out with a big downhill. So the caveat with that one is you end with a very large uphill.
Yes.
Always a nice reminder, especially if people are not used to the elevation. But another great waterfall is Piedra Falls, and that comes out of a box canyon. Now, both of those are a bit of a drive from town, not necessarily as the crow flies, just as the roads are out there. But yeah, Piedra Falls probably takes about 45 minutes from town to get to the trailhead. It'll take you, it's less than that to actually hike to the waterfall. Those are two, maybe not all the locals get out there. Definitely not all the visitors do. There's another thing that just came to mind. So we have a geological feature, ice caves, and there's a trail to the ice caves, also to a really nice overlook. But it's a natural formation where the ice basically shifts underneath ground. And so you can hike along that little trail and you'll see these big holes. And now sometimes you'll see kids trying to crawl into the holes. I've not seen adults try to do that. But yeah, kind of a neat geological feature that is unique to the area.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of either one of those, so that's really good.
And this is why I tell people that when you get to a new area, go to the visitor center. They are a massive wealth of information that can tell you these different types of things that are a little bit more off the beaten path if you want that. Some great restaurants in the area, shopping, area attractions, things to do inside, outside, weather permitting, weather not permitting, all of these things. And that's why the visitor center is always a great place to start any one of your adventures.
Absolutely. And our visitor center, we do offer free water bottles, and we have a water refill station because not everyone realizes when they get into town that we are at elevation, and water is the key to working with altitude.
Yeah, one thing also about the hiking that we really, I'm kind of switching subjects a little bit, but we were able to take our dogs on most of the hikes, and that is we just love that because you get in some, of course, the national parks don't allow it. Most state parks and national forests usually do, but I think we took our dogs on the waterfall hike that we went on, and then we took Bella on the other one, the big long one that we went on. So yeah, we appreciate that because our dogs, they have a lot of energy, and sometimes they like to get out and walk on the trail as well. Of course, on the leash all the time. But so with that said, why don't you tell us your favorite viewpoint in Pagosa Springs? What is your absolute favorite place to go and watch the sun set or rise or whatever it might be?
Well, I'd say my favorite, there's so many great views, but I think the one that I have a hard time not taking a photo every time I drive past is the scenic overlook on Wolf Creek Pass. And
Mhm.
if you remember the original vacation where
Yeah.
they were camping, that was actually on the other side of the pass, a small property outside of South Fork. And so they
Oh.
actually have a shot of that overlook in the movie, and it's one of those
Oh.
where they nod their head and then get back in the car. And
Ah.
it's labeled Southport, Colorado. But yeah, that view it's amazing, and it's one of those like it's hard to not want to get a picture every time you drive past it. And you can get out and hike around a little bit. It's pretty steep, so be
Mhm.
careful. But yeah, it's a great spot. Now, if I could name a second great vantage point, would be right downtown. There's a pedestrian bridge near 6th Street
Mhm.
that if you look upstream, especially in the winter, you get the steam rising off the hot springs. You see snow-capped mountains in the background, and it's just a really nice downtown location.
I think I know exactly what
Yep.
you're talking about. We stopped there and took some
Mhm.
pictures there.
We did.
But yeah, and we should say that the downtown there is
Mhm.
very walkable and a lot of cool shops and stuff like that. And we ate at a couple restaurants that we really liked.
We
It was
did.
wasn't there one that did tacos or something
Well,
like that?
Kip's Grill
Kip's.
is one.
Kip's Grill.
Yep.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Yes. So we
Yep.
enjoyed Kip's Grill, and then we went to Riff Raff Brewery, and that was really good too, sitting right there on the river. So, and that was when the river
Mhm.
was raging, raging.
And in the pizza place, it was a pizza place too, wasn't there?
I don't remember pizza, but
I think that
doesn't-
was, I think that was the first time. I think it
Oh,
was
okay.
on. I think it was on the river, and I believe it was a pizza place. Do you have a pizza place on the river? Am I thinking right?
No, there's a Mexican restaurant on the river. The pizza place downtown is Mountain Pizza and Tap Room.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the name I remember.
Okay,
I must be getting the
yeah.
location confused.
You look. The highway looked like it was moving. So
maybe that's what it was.
Right.
Maybe that's what it was.
Right.
All right. Was there anything special that we've missed here? We want to be respectful of your time. And is there anything else, or maybe let's end it with having you give us a 1 minute, 2 minute elevator pitch of why RVers should come to Pagosa Springs.
Well, one thing that we do have at the visitor center is and online is a brochure, a camping brochure, where we have all of the RV parks, the campgrounds, Forest Service campgrounds, private property, and we have them listed by amenity. So you can actually see, oh, do you want to be on the river? Well, these are your options. Pet friendly, things like that, just to help RVers, better understand, what kind of location they want to get into. Again, the national forest. There's so many national forest campgrounds. If you don't need hookups, it's great for RVers. And with Starlink, I think a lot of RVers are using Starlink now,
Yep.
myself included. It makes it a lot easier to be off grid a little bit. And then we definitely have the public campgrounds with the full hookups. There's Wolf Creek Run is a Class A RV park. So that's going to be the higher end, the nicer RVs, but that's right on the river. There's a campground where you can actually float from the campground into downtown. And it's just,
Fun.
half a mile east of town. And actually, I have a couple from Missouri that they're RVers. They come in every year for 4th of July, and they always pop into the visitor center to say hi to us. But yeah, they stay at that campground, and I don't know if they've tubed from there yet, but yeah, there's just no shortage of areas to explore. And then if you're interested in the ancestral Puebloan history, you've got Mesa Verde is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Chimney Rock National Monument's right there. Lots of cultural experiences. We're equidistant between Mesa Verde National Park and the Great Sand Dunes National Park. So
Okay.
if you're on a national park trip, then Pagosa is a really good stop in between. Maybe stop in the hot springs and relax for a minute. Yeah, so I think that really Southwest Colorado is a great area for RVs. Now, Wolf Creek Pass, you did mention, it's maybe a trickier pass. For the most part, it does have guardrails. Not all of Colorado passes do. I just, if you're coming into Pagosa from the South Fork side, heading west, just make sure your brakes are good.
Yes.
Your air
Yes.
brake's working. It is
Yes.
pretty treacherous.
And take your time.
Yeah.
Just take your
Yes.
time. Who
Yes.
cares if somebody's on your rear end behind you? You just let them sit back there and you take your time.
Yeah, there's some pretty
Well,
big
and
switchbacks.
Yep.
Yep, that's at the scenic overlook that we mentioned. Is that is the first big switchback.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, we also have a scenic drive brochure. Now, off the highway, most of our roads are not paved, so not all RVers are going to want to explore those. But if you have a car with you, there's just tons of area to explore, drive around, and just take in amazing views.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fabulous.
Well, again, to all our listeners and viewers out here, Caly and I have been there twice. We loved
Mm-hmm.
it that much. And so, again, I feel like Pagosa Springs is a hidden gem that it does get busy in the summer, as she's said,
Mm-hmm.
and all the way through September, but definitely worthwhile. Maybe try one of the shoulder seasons, maybe try March, or maybe try
Mm-hmm.
October, and just, you get a little bit cooler weather. Those hot springs are very nice to jump into when it's a little bit on the cooler side. So,
Absolutely.
and I remember last time I had that evening where I drank way too much.
I remember
and you
that
couldn't
evening.
get me out of the pool.
I could not, so I just left you. I left you there at the hot springs by yourself.
Yep. And she did. She came back and got me after she realized she left me. But
Oh no, I knew I left you.
well, Jennie, thank you so much for coming on the show here. We really appreciate it. You got a very beautiful place, and we're excited to come back out there. And when we do run Pagosa Springs in the magazine, we'll make sure we get you a couple copies out there that you can keep there at the Visitors Bureau. But we very much appreciate you coming on the show and taking your time out of your day. So you want to take us out, babe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Jennie, for joining us today and telling us about all the incredible things you want to see and do at Pagosa Springs in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. And we want to thank all of you out there for joining us in here today, listening to our podcast, wherever you can find your podcast. And don't forget about us out there on YouTube. Be sure to get out there and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel so that you are always getting the up-to-date content that we are putting out there for you. And don't forget about our website, folks. We have a ton of free travel information for you out there on our website at rvdestinationsmagazine.com. And make sure you check back regularly because we have some pretty exciting things coming down the line for you that you don't want to miss out on. And don't forget that code podcast20, that's podcast20. And if you haven't gotten a subscription to our magazine yet, use that code. You're going to save 20% off any of our subscriptions. So again, thank you so much out there for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Be safe.
Safe travels, y'all.